Hi everyone, my name is Aluchi. You can call me Luchis. I'm the creative director of Luchis Fashion Empire, and I want to welcome my old subscribers and the new subscribers. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, you would want to, because I'll be dropping a lot of recent trending styles. For today, we're going to be learning how to draft, cut and sew the double cupped corset. Actually, this class is going to have a part 1 and part 2 because it's going to be very lengthy. So but for today, we're going to be doing sketching and creating the design on the pattern. So as you can see, I have my front pattern and I have my back pattern. Okay, so for the back pattern, I haven't included my dart here because I love to create my my lacing at the back first before I decide where I want to place my darts. That's for the back. And then for the front, I have my waist darts, and then I also have my bust dart. But the first step we're going to be taking is to transfer this bust dart to the mid shoulder dart line. Okay, so you guys stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy this class. So to get your mid shoulder dart, divide your shoulder line in two, right, and then connect it to the bust dart. When you've done that, we're going to be slashing through this line, and then we'll slash through the bust line, and then I'll go ahead to close this, and here will open up. Okay, so before I go ahead to close the bust darts, I want to show you guys. So I slashed through my mid shoulder all the way to my bust point, and then I slashed through one side of the straight line of my bust dart, and then I'll overlap this way. Okay, till it meets. Then I'll place my paper tape. So this is called dart transfer. So I transferred my dart from my bust dart to all the way to my mid shoulder dart. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is mark your under bust contour. For me, I use 1/2 inch and then 3/4. Okay, 3/4 on the side. Okay, so the 1/2 inch is the one facing towards the center front, and then the 3/4 is the one on the side seam. Okay, so when you've done this, the next thing you want to consider is your neck depth. So for this one, I went as low as the under bust. Okay, so it's your choice. I can decide to start. This is my bust line. Okay, I'll mark 1/2 inch on my bust line. Right, so mark 1/2 inch. You can, it depends on where you want. There's no standard for this one, it's your choice. Okay, then from this 1/2 inch, I'll still slant it all the way to my under bust, because it has like a V shape. Okay, so like I said, I'm using 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch here, and 3/4 here. So this is my under bust. But there are other ways of contouring your under bust. But when it comes to corset, you don't want to contour too much, because when you contour too much, the cup becomes really like very tight and extremely curvy, right? That it might now reduce the actual size of the cup. Okay, so I'll go ahead to connect this to this first. Okay, and then I have to blend this line here, right? Okay, so from my bust line, I'll come in with 1 inch or 1.5 inch. Now this one is all your choice, whatever you want. Okay, so I'll connect this to this. Now, mind you, because of the heaviness of this cup, I'm not going to be caging it. So there's no caging on the cup side of this cup. Okay, now that I've gotten this, the next thing I want to do is connect this to the end of my dart. So I'll connect this line to the end of my dart. As well as connect this to the end of my dart. Okay, so the line is not really visible. Okay, so there's something I want to explain here. I have my bust line and I have my apex line. So this apex line is my bust point. This line here is, some people call it the armhole line, and then this is my across shoulder. So this is a, you know, like everybody have their own pattern. I have like almost 3 different basic bodice pattern I use sometimes. Okay, so like I said, here depends on how deep you want. So for the yellow outfit I made, I actually stopped on the apex line, which is the bust point, okay, before I drew a straight line, like a slanted line rather, to the underbust, because I wanted like a V effect around there. So I have like a slanted line this way that I cut out before my bonings, right? Okay, so the next thing we want to do is create the double cup upwards. Now I see some people, they double the whole cup. No, I don't double mine, because it's a 3-part cup, right? So the 3 parts I mean is, you have, okay, you have this as a cup, right? And then we'll have the first layer, and then we'll have the second. So let me take it out. Okay, so you have this, right? So this is called the 3-cup corset, 1, 2, 3, right? So but this one is having some kind of shape where it has like two of these up. So for the 2 up, I'm doubling the up, I'm not doubling the down. You understand what I mean? So when we start sewing, you guys will see. So the next thing is to connect my dart legs to the bust point. This is 1. I'm trying to make the line stick thick, and this is 2. Okay, right? So I'll go ahead and open this and open up the bust dart so that I can close here to create my design. So after creating my design, I'll go ahead and do the overbust contour for this cup. Okay. Hi guys, so sorry, I made a mistake. My 1/2 inch wasn't supposed to be on my, initially supposed to be on my bust point. I think I used my armhole line or the bust line here. Okay, so because if I do this, it's going to be too deep, right? So I decided to use this. So if your 1/2 inch actually is starting away from your bust point, okay, do not use the curve ruler. What you do is square a straight line first, okay, square a straight line first, then you can use your curve ruler. Oh my goodness, you can use your curve ruler from the bust point to your underbust, okay. So this is what we have. It's almost the same thing, so I'm gonna redraw the line. So when you're making a corset, you don't want too many curved lines, okay? Yeah, okay, so this is what we have. So the next step is to create my style line, okay? So for me, the first one I did was I started from my mid armhole, right? Or you can use your across shoulder measurement, whichever one. Depends on how high or how low you want it. But don't forget that there are going to be 2 designs there. Okay, so let's say I have this as the first design, like that's what I mean is the inner one. So the inner one is the longer one, and the outer one is the smaller one, right? Okay, so we'll have this as the first design, and then you decide where you want the second design to be. So I can decide to come down 1 inch or 1.5 inch, okay, and then I can decide to do like 2 inches here, right? And then I'll create the same or similar design like that. Do you understand? Similar design like that. So we'll still go back to close this, okay? Yeah, so I just did like a faint line from here to here and here. So I'll go ahead to smoothen or straighten my lines up. So if you want yours to go lower, is your choice, but don't make it extremely too high. In fact, I would advise let it not exceed your mid armhole. Okay, so this is the first line, and then this is the second line. Okay, so don't forget, I came down here 2 inches. It's my choice. You can do 1.5, depending on the spacing you want, you know, both of them to have. If you look at the picture that we have there, you see that there's a distinct distance between both of them. So we'll go ahead to connect this to this. You can create any shape of your choice, any shape you like. Okay, any shape you like. Like I said earlier, this is the part 1 and this is the part 2. Okay, so this part is the part I'm going to double. I'm not going to double this because if I double this part, to join it to the lower part of the dress might give you issues if it's too thick. Do you understand? So the next thing I'm going to do is open up my darts again. That's one thing with pattern drafting. I have to close up this dart and contour here. When I contour, I have to blend. Okay, so I'll take it one step at a time. So I'll go ahead to contour with 3/4 here and probably like 5/8 here. Okay, so me, I contour based on what I'm seeing. I don't usually do standards for everybody. This is a smaller pattern. It's not for big size. If it's for big size, obviously you see that the cup is going to be extremely big, so you can do 3/4. But because this person is small, even if I do 5/8 or half here, it definitely will not affect anything. Okay, so I'll mark 3/4 here. So I hope that most of us already know what 3/4 is if we're into fashion. And then I'll mark 5/8 here. Okay, so I'm trying to do the overbust contour so that the cup is firm on her, since I didn't cage it. Okay, so I'll connect and then I'll connect. Okay, you can see that, right? So I have to close up these darts, like I have to close them up for me to blend this line back again. Okay, because when you close it up, definitely the line is going to be affected. Close that close this dart, I have to permanently close my bust dart right now because we're about to cut, and then I'm going to slash through this my waist dart for me to be able to close this. Okay, so I'll be doing this. I'm not doing this on the camera because, you know, I know that, like I said, this video is lengthy. I'm trying as much as possible to make it not too voluminous for us. Okay, so this is it. So I'll go ahead to permanently close my darts. So in some cases you can actually add like a 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch dart to around your bust point towards the front, center front, but I'm not going to be doing that today. Okay, so because this is a smaller pattern, so for me to be sure, I'll just extend this line. Okay. I'll just cut through the center and stop at the bust point, right? So right now I have to close one of these darts. I hope you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, I'm closing one of this to overlap it with, that's our over bust contour, right? Yeah, so this is it. And then I'll secure it with my paper tip like this. Okay. Like this. Okay, now you see that the line has been affected, so I'll go back to retrace my line. So I'll just make sure that I have this point and this point meeting. So I think at this point I should use colored pencils, that way we can see it clearly. Okay, so we have this and then we have this. So I'm feeling like this. Okay, well, this and this is my choice for today. But you know, if you want it more pronounced, you can go low. You can even start from here. Okay, so this is the second line. Right, we can see that, right? So the next thing we want to do is the side. Okay, so I'm going to be connecting this line. Okay, so I want to connect this other side of the cup to touch this point. Now you don't want your line to exceed your armhole. Instead of it coming out, you have to go in, because you don't want a situation where, you know, you're having the design hidden around your armhole. Okay, so I'm going to be connecting, and because it's a single cup, it doesn't really have too much drama. Okay, so I will connect this. Okay, so I hope you can see. So it has to be in one piece, that's what I mean. So I connected this all the way to that the second line, right? So the next thing we're going to be doing is to cut out. But before I cut out, I'll just have to cut out this upper part, because I need to shapen this V part to my underbust. Now here, this one is your choice. If you don't want it, you can leave it like that. Like you want to still have this 1/2 inch here at the center front, anyhow you want to do it, but I'm doing exactly what I have on my outfit. So all I'll do is connect this from that point all the way to my underbust, like we have on our outfit. Okay, right? No, I don't think that's correct. I think, no, that's not correct. It has to end on the second line. Yep, has to end on the second line, not the first line. And the second line. Okay, so we're going to be cutting. This one is wrong. I don't know if I can erase it. Okay. Yeah. So we're going to be eliminating the whole of this part, okay? And then we'll have this. But before I go ahead, okay, after cutting this, we'll have to come down and decide what you want to do down. Though actually, in this video, I just promised to teach only the cup, but I'll show you guys how to create your darts down. All right, guys, so I'm cutting through, right? So I want you to watch me cut this V part out. Okay, and then I'm gonna cut through. Oh, sorry. So I'm not adding yolk to it, so if you want to add yolk, is your choice. Okay, so this is what we have. I'll take this one aside. I'll come to the back. Okay, so this is what I have, and guys, so the next step is to cut out the cup. Okay, so this is the cup. Don't forget, this is our center front. You can label it center front, and I'll continue cutting from the other side of the cup. So this is the side. This is the side. So we'll keep this side. I want to focus on the cup. So we have to eliminate the dart on the cup. This one. And then we eliminate the other one. I don't want to do this offline because some people will be like, oh, I don't understand what you're doing. Okay, now you know fully well that this is our bust point line, okay? So I'm going to be using this to reshape. Okay. So I'll be using this colored pencil to reshape this this part, okay? Just to blend it so that it's not too curvy. Alright. Okay. So we're going to be cutting this out. So you can label your cup. This is the upper part, or you can say cup 1. This is 2. This is 3, right? So I'm going to be cutting through here, and then I'll show you what to do next. So I'm following like my actual bust point line, which I just blended. Okay, so this is it, and then this is it. All I just need to do is cut through this. Okay, so don't forget that this is for here, and this is, if you want, personally the way I label mine, I just put because this part is the center front, is the one we join to the center front, right? Yeah. So because this is the part, sorry, I labeled it 3. Okay, because this is the part that is attached to the main center front. Okay, you can say center front 1 on this one, and then maybe CF2, however you remember it, whatever. Then you can still put CF1 here, you know, just to show that this is the part facing the center front. So it doesn't matter however you want to label it. Maybe I'll do this 2 and then I'll do label this one 3. Okay, so this is all about that. All we need to do now is put a paper under this, right? And then we're going to be tracing, or what you can do is you can cut out this whole part, right, like on your fabric, then eliminate this one and use it to cut the shorter one. Okay, so that is when we get to the second part of cutting with fabrics, I'm going to show us all the materials we need for this. Okay, so now let's go back to this other part of the upper body, sorry, the front. Okay, so now we have our darts. We need to eliminate all these darts. So all I will do is I'll just cut out one side of this. I'll cut out one side of this, and then I'll overlap it on the other side of that. Can you see that? Okay, so when I do this, sorry, yeah, fine. So anyway, I don't really get bothered about this opening, sorry. So there's an opening here when I overlap. So when I overlap my darts, I'm having an opening down around here. I don't worry about it because I don't need it, because all those parts will be cut out. I just make sure that my darts meet. Okay, so this is how I secure it. And then the next thing I want to do is to create, because now excuse me, from our waist all the way down is 9 inches, and you don't want a situation where you're boning all the way to your 9 inches, because it's going to affect your sitting. Okay, so what do? You decide, like, I suspect all of us should, you know, have that fashion knowledge. So the center front part should be longer because you're trying to snatch your waist in. So for me, between 5 and 7 is perfect. Okay, 8 and 9 might actually affect the comfort of your client. Okay, so you can do 5.5, depending. This client is not very tall. You can do 7 if the person is really tall, so it depends on the height of the client. Then on the side, you can do 5, you can do 4, you can do 3.5. You know, all of this is just to, you know, give you comfort. So like I said, I don't need the lower part of this. That's why I wasn't bothered about that opening. Okay, so this is one. And then the next thing you want to do is you can go ahead and bone it like this, maybe if you're doing Ankara or stuff. But like the one I have, my yellow outfit, I used a skin tone tulle net, and I combined it with my fabric. Okay, so in that way I decided to add can't remember, but I decided to use like I think 4, was it 4-3? But pretty much what I mean is you can cut through if you want. If you don't want to separate your patterns, you can just use one single pattern and then go ahead to bone it. Okay, so but if you want to, you can use here as 1 and then divide here in 2. This is 3.5, so 3.5 should be here. Okay, then mark like quarter inches. Can mark like 1/4 inch or 1/8 on both sides, depending on how snatched you want. And then so all you need to do is square that line straight. Okay, square it straight, and then create like a small dart there. You can do up to 1/2 inch if you want to like really snatch your client's waist and all of that. So it's your choice. Make sure whatever you're cutting doesn't affect your cup measurement. Okay, so you can have 1, 2, 3. In some cases you can have more than that. Is your choice. Yeah, so when you cut out, definitely this is going to be like 6 panels for the front. 1, 2, 3, on one side, 1 to 3 on the other side. So you can decide to use fabric, tulle net, Ankara, whatever. You can also decide to like add that here if you want. Or sometimes you see some that are slanted, like slanted towards the center front. So you can still create your designs like you want to have multiple lines or multiple whatever. You can still have this. You can still have this. So you have 1, 2, 3, right? Or you can have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 8. So just be very creative as a designer. That's my own opinion. So I'll go ahead to cut this, and then I'll show us what to do at the back. Hi guys. Okay, so I don't want us to forget the aim of this class. It's just basically to teach us how to draft and create that design for the double cupped corset. This other one I'm doing is just because I love you guys, and I don't want a situation where you can sew just the cup and then you don't know what to do about your lacing. Okay, so this is the front. I've gone ahead to cut it, but because we're not sewing it, I didn't bother cutting out anything. Okay, so what I want to show us is how to create the back. Okay, so now you have your side back. So for the front, sorry, there was something I didn't explain. For the front, I came up around the armhole. I came up with 1/2 inch. Okay, so just in case if you don't come up with 1/2 inch, it doesn't matter. It depends on how your pattern is. Okay, so I forgot that part. So this is the 1/2 inch that I came up with for the front. If I don't want it, I can just slant it back and then cut it out. But this is it. So when I have that, because you want the front side line and the back side line to meet. Okay, so you can draw a straight line, you can decide to create a curve, whichever style line you want to do at the back is your choice, but just make sure that around the armhole and the side line they should match. Okay, so let's assume this is the shape I want at the back. Don't forget that this outfit does not have a yoke. And then depending on the size of my client, I will create a lacing back with 2 inches. Like, so the idea is to make the back look also beautiful, because sometimes you see some lacing at the back is looking straight, or maybe the down part is looking wider than the front. So you don't want that. You want something that gives you, like, you know, a defined curve at the back. Okay, so you can decide to contour with 2 inches. You can decide to contour with 1.5. Depends on how well snatched you want it to be. Okay, now if you contour with 2 inches, for me, for bigger clients, you can do up to 2.5, 3 inches. Don't forget that these 2 inches I'm taking out here is equal to 4. That means I'm eliminating 4 inches from my back. Okay, and then you have to go all the way down, right down, to mark like 1 inch. Okay, so but if you want it really small down, you can do 1/2 inch, but I like to do 1 inch so that, you know, I have enough room to snatch my client. Okay, so I'll just square this all the way up. Okay, and then this part will be eliminated. Right now, because in some cases when you're working with 2 nets, because I would really love you guys to try this thing out with your net. Now, how do you work with nets? That's another class altogether. Okay, so if you're working with 2 nets, right, definitely your lacing at the back has to be your fabric, because you cannot snatch on a net. Do you get? So you want to like create, so this is no longer part of the outfit, but any other thing here is part of the outfit. So you can decide to create like a lacing bar like 2 inches and 2 inches right here. So this is it, right? So you can use this as your pattern 1. use it to cut the fabric, fortify it with your hairstay, your boning, and all of that. Don't forget that there's a 1-inch dart on this pattern. Okay, so all I need to do is divide this into, this is 4 3/4, which is here. So I'll create a dart, 1/2 inch on the sides to give me my 1 inch, and then I'll proceed to squaring that line straight. So I want to get a straight line, so I'll proceed to doing this. Okay, and don't forget that your dart stops at 7 inches, and then you can decide to contour the upper parts if you want. I hope this is clear. Okay, it is. Or you just connect the dots. So what I mean by, sometimes you want to remove excess from the back, you can mark quarter and contour that part, but sometimes it's not really necessary since you have to lace it. Okay, so you can have panel 1, panel 2, panel 3, and then you go ahead to cut. Okay, so we're not doing this today because this is like advanced, so I'll go ahead to, I just wanted to show you guys how to do this. And don't forget that you have a design, so whatever you use in front, so for the side we did this, right? Then for the center, what did we do? So it mustn't be the same thing for the center, I can make the back longer and all of that. So just create your design at the back. In some cases, in fact, you guys need to learn how to be really creative. So whatever design you're doing at the back, make sure you're doing same in front and all of that. So what I have here is different from what I have in front, and I don't think it makes sense. So but I'm just trying to, like, advise us to try and be creative. It mustn't be exact what you learn. So I'll go ahead to cut, and like I said, we're not sewing this for today because it's going to take us the whole year. Oh no, let me not say the whole year, a very long time. Okay, so let's go back to why we are here. Okay, so I'm going to trace out, right? I'll trace out, I'll show us the materials we need. Sorry, this is meant to be here. I'll show us the materials we need. Like I said, I didn't cage this cup because I had to use foam. So that the hip padding foam I use up and here, right? I also used it here. That's why I do not double here. So I just have my lining, and then I join the lining to this one. That way I can easily attach it to my fabric, and the sewing process is even more interesting, or I would say, yeah, more interesting and than the drafting part. So just use this basic method to try out something, create something very nice, and you'll really love it. You love it. See you guys. Like I said, this class is going to have this, our part 1 we just finished. So the part 2 is going to, because I know it's a little bit lengthy, and I don't know how I'm going to like compress it, and I don't want you guys to miss out on anything. So that's why we're going to have a part 2 of it as the sewing part of this cup. Okay, so please guys, if you've not subscribed to my channel, do so to subscribe so that you don't miss out on anything we're doing. Love you guys. Bye. Hi guys. Okay, so I took a break, and then I noticed that I didn't actually use 1 inch here. It's more like 1/2 inch. So before we proceed to cutting, I'll go back to correct it. So guys, what I mean is towards the center front, the distance between the inner one and the outer one is actually not 1 inch that I use, is 1/2 inch. So the reason is because it looks like it's bigger here and then it's closing up somewhere here. Okay, so I'm really sorry about that. I'll go ahead to correct it by marking I think I use 5/8. Okay, and then I'll redraw it. Okay. So you know when you make an outfit and then you have to remake it, sometimes you actually forget some of the things that you've done already. Okay, so this is how we're going to be cutting out.